What's going on, collectors? Welcome into Ross Loves Cards. Today, I want to share with you all my biggest pickup that I've made. It is this 1932 Bulgarian Schmeling Ruth. I first learned of this card when I was talking to Kyle of America's Pastime about cards I wanted to get at Strongsville. And we were sharing back and forth. And I tell you what, if you want to get pumped up on pre-war, reach out to Kyle. It didn't take long for me to talk with him. Pre-war is kind of my thing. It's not my thing, but I think at the beginning of the year I had 0 pre-war, and I've got 5 now. But this card, he's mentioned this, and I'd never heard of a Bulgarian Ruth, so I went and I hit search on, maybe it's Google or eBay. One of them two is about the main things I use. And I seen Schmeling was on that card as well. And right then, as soon as I known that, boy, I wanted that card. I was sure glad Kyle picked this card up at Strongsville. By the way, this is the card that he picked up at Strongsville. But I heard him on a collaboration after Strongsville, and he mentioned he got a 4.5, but actually maybe looking to downgrade. So I called him up and said, hey, if you get you another one, I'd like to do business on that one. So he went and found him another one. And he was in a collaboration last night with 4 collectors, him, Jayhawker Mike, and Joe Redneck Collector, and Jason, Everyday Card Collector, was hosting it. But he showed his version and talked about, how he downgraded twice to get to this one. And Jason made a comment, and he said, some people like the higher end cards. And I never thought of myself as a higher end card collector, but if Jason thinks so, that's good enough for me. But I am pretty proud of this card. I love it. I remember when me and Kyle was working out the deal, I sent him the money and he said he'd get it in the mail. I was substitute teaching that day. I got out of school and went up and picked my boy up at the front office when he's walking out to the car. And I said, hey, Tate, do you know who Babe Ruth is? He says, yes, I do. And I said, well, who is he? And he didn't hesitate one bit. And he said, he's the white Josh Gibson. And I said, now, hey, wait a minute. Where'd you hear that? And he said, well, this book I was reading. He's reading Who Was Jackie Robinson? And it talked about Cool Papa Bell, Satchel Paige, and Josh Gibson. And, how people call him the Black Babe. And they said, well, some would call, the black people would call Babe the white Josh Gibson. So that stuck in my boy's mind, and I was proud of him. And, I went home and, well, actually, I may have bought the book before I even went home that day. But bought Tate a book or two books. He's read one of them, and I bought me one. And my wife was mentioning something about the Baltimore Orioles. And Tate said, the Orioles, that's where Babe Ruth first played. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure it was Boston. He said, no, it was the Orioles. And he said he played at the Orioles first. He said it was minor league. And sure enough, yeah, he was right. I apparently need to read my book on Babe Ruth because I did not know that. I'm slowly learning things, picking it up as I go. But I was sure excited to be waiting on this to get in. I was cheering Kyle on to find him another card, so he'd get it. No, I wasn't in any rush, but, I was glad to have it. When the day it was supposed to arrive, I was refreshing tracking nonstop. And I had to go get a haircut that morning. And as soon as I got done with my haircut, I checked tracking, still hadn't been delivered. And as luck would have it, as I was pulling up to my house, I seen this. And I took a picture of it because, it was a special moment for me. The mail lady is just dropping off my stuff as I'm pulling in. And I get home and open it up. And, I love it even more in person. Kyle said this picture was taken, I believe, in 1931. And it was taken at Cleveland. Yankees was in town playing, and Max Schmeling was in town. You can go see Babe Ruth if you got the access, and that's what he did. And I tell you what, I love the back of this card. I'm going to read the back of this card to you. Schmeling and Babe Ruth. Baseball, which is known to us as the national sport across the ocean, Babe Ruth, the king of baseball, enjoys an annual income of $100,000, greater than that of the greater than that of the President of the United States. Max Schmeling admired Babe Ruth at baseball game in Ohio. Naturally, the photographers recorded this historic event. Now, sorry if I've done some mistranslating. To be honest, I'm not reading the back of the card. I use Google and have to type in like a sentence at a time to see what it... But I'd say that's probably pretty well close to what it says. But I really like that part where it says Babe Ruth, the king of baseball, enjoys an annual income of $100,000, greater than that of the President of the United States. I read sometime, I may have heard it, I think I read it though, Babe Ruth was asked in an interview, and they said, hey, you make more than the president last year. What do you think of that? And he looked at him real serious, and he said, I had a better year than the president. And, you know, that confidence, I mean, like the back of the card says, king of baseball. Now, I don't know, I haven't shared this, but you know, Max Schmeling was one of the main reasons I bought this card. If Schmeling hadn't have been on it, I don't think I'd have bought it. I told Jeff, a fine card collector, he was probably 40% of the reason I bought it. And that's the truth. I remember when Kyle showed this to me, I was reading the book in black and white. And it was about Joe Louis and Jesse Owens, how their careers, how they became friends, and how they came up, and where they went, and how life went for them. Real great book. I enjoyed it. Learned a lot in it that I didn't know. A lot of famous people in that book. And Babe Ruth was in this book. Max Schmeling fought, and this took place in both, fought Joe Louis twice. They both took place in Yankee Stadium. And, you know, the first time in 36, Schmeling won. Well, in 37, Joe Louis took the title from Jim Braddock. And anyways, he was the champ, and he said, I'm not the champ until I beat Schmeling. Well, that chance would come in 38. And just to be honest, I think Max Schmeling gets a bad rep because of the Nazis, being from Germany. You know, his promoter was Jewish. The travel, I don't know if it was promoter, manager, whoever it was, but he was Jewish. And he was in Germany and was trying to stay at a hotel, and they said, well, you can stay, but your manager or promoter can't. And I think this guy was a lawyer. But anyways, he basically said, well, he's going to stay here, you know, or I'm not staying. I don't know how that conversation went. But he was friends with him, you know. So I think they kind of get a bad rep just because he came from Germany at that time. But they kind of promoted Germany versus U.S. And, of course, 36, Germany, Max Schmeling won. 38 was a different story. And it told a story about Max Schmeling coming into New York and went to where Joe Louis was training to see him, to watch him, I guess. And Joe Louis was in the ring. I picture him shadow boxing. This is how it all played out in my mind. It was shadow boxing. And ringside, he's working out anyways, and ringside on the right, you have Jesse Owens. On the left, you have Babe Ruth. And in my mind, I picture Schmeling walk in, and Jesse Owens, more meek and mild, kind of tipped his head to him. And Babe Ruth, the confident, kind of raised his head to acknowledge him. And you got Joe Louis in the ring not paying attention to anything, just focused on what he has to do. And you know, that setting of them 4 guys is what I think of when I think of this card. All that greatness coming together. So this picture was taken in 31. They'd meet up again in 1938. But I know it's been a little while since I've picked this up and I haven't shared this card. I just was kind of trying to get my thoughts together. And I had a few other things I was wanting to show in the meantime. But I sure do love it. I hope you all enjoyed this video, enjoyed looking at the card, and I hope to have you all tune in for the next one. Thanks.